All right, hello and welcome back to the show. So I'm really excited for today's episode because we're bringing back a guest that we've had on this show before, and that is none other than Alex Zeta. Alex is one of the top real estate agents and team leaders and agency owners based out of the Philippines, and she's built her YouTube channel now to over 16,000 subscribers. So she is one of the top content creators. And in today's episode, we're just going to be catching back up with her after we've had her on our show previously. It's a couple years ago, so she's had a lot of development in her business, especially now focusing on the growth of her team. And we're going to be talking a lot about what it takes for you to transition from an individual agent into becoming a successful team leader, and some of the things that Alex is working on today. So, Alex, welcome back to the show. Super excited to have you join us here today.
Hey, Kobe. Thanks for having me back again at the show. I can't believe it's been a couple of years since our last conversation here.
Yeah, I think the last time we talked was back in 2022. That was when I was first starting my podcast. So I want to thank you again
Yeah, you,
for.
you you had like a couple of episodes at the time, and now it's like you have tons more, and you're being interviewed by other content creators as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, congrats on being consistent with doing this.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it, and especially it means a lot coming from somebody like yourself who's been doing content a lot longer than I have, and actually built up quite a big following as well. So I want to thank you for joining us today, but also joining me back when I was just starting my show back in 2022 as well. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about Alex's backstory, make sure to go check out that first episode, and we'll make sure to leave a link to that in the description down below as well. So yeah, so what have you been up to? I know it's been a couple years, right? Like we talked about since we last caught up on a podcast like this. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about kind of what you've been working on, the growth of your channel, and how has that transition been like for you, kind of moving into now more of a team leader, CEO position.
Yeah, so I started my YouTube channel in 2020, and I think when we were doing the podcast, I had like a couple thousand subscribers at the time, maybe 4 or 5,000. So the thing is just really being consistent, which I'm sure you know, since you're also a content creator, just putting out the content like week after week. So that's what I've been continuing to do since the pandemic hit in 2020. So it's been 5 years now, over 4 years of creating content. And of course, real estate deals and transactions. So since I'm a real estate broker and also a consultant, I'm still busy with working on clients and closing deals. And now, just this year, it's also something new that I'm working on. My partners and I, in Truly Wealthy Realty, we have decided to finally start building and leading a team to grow the realty. So that's what we've been busy with. So it's basically three things: it's content creation, closing deals, and growing the team as a team leader.
Yeah, so it's a lot, right? For a lot of agents, what they do is one of the three, or maybe two of the three, right? They maybe
Yeah,
create.
actually three is a lot, and I think three is my max. It's like I won't be able to do anything above the three unless I take out one and exchange it with another thing.
Yeah, with something else, right? So you can't take on
Mhm.
four more different projects at a time, or it
No,
becomes
like
too overwhelming.
yeah, three is the max. Because you there's no such thing as multitasking. It's just a matter of like jumping from one task to another. So if today I'm working on content creation, tomorrow I'll go back to like building the team, meet one of my agents, and then the next day I would be like messaging clients or closing deals or following up, stuff like that.
So is that how you currently manage your schedule? Is pretty much on a day by day basis where you focus on one specific aspect of your business each day? And is that kind of how you
Yes,
are
yes,
able to.
something like that. Yeah. So I have like a weekly schedule wherein I've allocated days to do a specific thing that I'm focusing on. So for example, Mondays are for clients, so that's when I usually like follow up, message client, call them, and also that's when I meet with my team, my admin team for after sales. So for the clients that we've already closed or have made a reservation. So that's when I meet with my team, and then we discuss the other requirements that they need to follow up on, stuff like that, like the after sales. And then usually on Tuesday, continue to follow up. So that's still like a client day. Then Wednesday is for vlogging. So that's why we're here now. So every Wednesday or every other Wednesday, I usually do sit down vlogs. And I also write content. And on Thursday, that's when I do content creation and then client follow up. So client follow ups does not really require an entire day. So I just usually block off maybe 2 or 3 hours per day to just do quick follow ups. And then Fridays are also for content creation. And then I usually do content creation with client follow-ups because I can just block off like chunks of, a couple of hours for both. And then Saturdays are for the team. So that's when I meet my agents, we do trainings, we do orientation for those who want to join the team and want to learn more about it.
Yeah. So you are working, it sounds like, even more than before, right? When we first started talking, it sounds like you have a more extensive schedule now, because you're juggling more things, and also I'm assuming essentially being more responsible for a larger group of people, because it's not just your client base, it's your client base, but also the agents that you are working with as well.
Yes, that's correct. So the agents are also like clients of mine in a way that I have to follow up, talk to them, ask them how they're doing, ask them how their clients are doing, stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I would love to kind of dig into that part of it, right? Because the last time we started talking, you were more or less kind of running your own business at that time with your business partners. But now you've made the transition into building out your team. So how has that transition been like for you? Because you have experience, I would say, pretty, a lot of success pretty quickly, as somebody who is just starting out their team. Is it just, would you kind of attribute that to the content you've created over time?
I wouldn't say it was like a quick success since I've been in this industry for more than 10 years already, but it was more of a mindset shift because when I thought about building the team a couple of years ago, I was not yet ready. So that's why we decided not to do it yet. So we were like, okay, let's focus on creating content, a lot of content first, and then on also building my own personal sales, on closing like consistently a certain targets month after month. And then after 4 years of doing that, being consistent with content creation, we already have a system for that. We already have a system for sales and marketing as well. We're now consistent with closing and hitting our targets month after month. So we're like, okay, now we are ready to build the team. So when we decided and when we were mentally ready, that's how we were able to, I guess, achieve like be successful at it now that we are working on it as a team as well. So it's not just me, but my partners. So I have two partners in Truly Wealthy, Mitch and Steph. They've been my partners for ever since I started, so over 10 years now. So when I suggested to them that, okay, let's start building the team. So that's because that's the next step in our business. So at first they were hesitant because, when you're selling, when you're working as a real estate broker, there's so much to do. So they were like a bit hesitant to add more to their plates. But eventually they agreed. And we worked out like a schedule and what our responsibilities are in building the team. And so far it's been doing well.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you brought that point up as well, because I think there's a lot of people who are maybe in a similar position
Mm-hmm.
where they're thinking of starting a team or starting to build out their brokerage or their agency, but they may be in a position that you guys were in, maybe a couple years ago, right? Well, they're not ready.
Yeah.
So what has been, I guess, different this time? What have you guys been able to really focus down on to actually grow the team? But I'm assuming now you have more on the back end as far as infrastructure, right? As to help maintain and manage and actually support your agents, so that way, they're not just coming to join, but they're actually successful when they do.
Yeah, and being supported as well. So also a big factor of it was our husbands helping us Because before, when we tried building the team and we were one was already married, two of us were single at the time, we felt like it was too much work for us to do on our own. We had one admin staff at that time, but it was very lacking, because she was more on like the back end support. But now we have more people to help us with the back end and supporting the agents. So we have like an accounting staff and admin staff. I have like an in-house media team, so that's a huge help as well. I have my own assistant, and my husband Jong, he's the one in charge of like the back end, like creating the infrastructure needed, like the accounting infrastructure. Because here in the Philippines, every developer, when you sell pre-selling property, has a different commission structure, so it's not uniform. So that's why there needs to be like an accounting system that can track the commissions collected efficiently, because it takes years also to collect commission if you're dealing with pre-selling. So that's why it needs to, be in a system to avoid errors. So Jong is the one in charge of that, and then Steph's husband as well is the one in charge of building up a website for Truly Wealthy Realty to manage our resale inventory. So there's already a lot of support. That's why we are able to focus on building the team, like on inviting people and then training them, which is also like time consuming as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you need like desire is not enough. Like you have to have the support that you need and the right back end and the right process in building the team so that it's sustainable and so that it will really grow, because we've already tried before to like we worked so hard to build a team only to lose people because they were not receiving enough support from the realty.
Yeah, that's the biggest, I think, roadblock for people who are looking to grow their team as well. Is not just the attraction side, but the retention side. Because if you're
Yes.
not guarding the retention side, then you can attract as many agents as you like, but they're all just going to leave eventually or outgrow the realty or outgrow the company as well. So you guys have figured out the retention side first, and then went out there to essentially go out and start bringing new agents and growing the agent count for your realty and your company.
Yes, that's correct. Because before we were only like recruiting and recruiting, the attraction side. And we didn't really set up the retention side first. So what we ended up like spending a lot of money and time and effort to like attract a lot of people, which we were able to do, but we weren't able to retain them. And it's very costly to do that. So that's why before we started recruiting, once we decided to recruit, we set up like the back end first. It's not like it's not yet done. It's still like a lot of things are still in the process, but it's being worked on. And like before, and we didn't really work on it and just kind of left it a chance. So now we were more intentional on setting up the back end because we already knew what needs to be set up.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, having experience in the industry yourself will help with that. Obviously, knowing what matters to
Yeah.
you, what's important as an agent to help close more deals, attract more clients. Now you can offer the same value to agents that you're bringing on to your company as well.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so I would love to talk a little bit more about kind of what you guys are doing now at this point to actually attract and invite other agents to join your company. There's so many different strategies I think out there, regardless of what market you're in, for reaching other agents. I mean, you guys have obviously created quite a bit of a following over the years on social media, so I'm sure there's a lot of agents who are interested to work directly with you guys just based on your social media content. I've actually seen some of the comments in the YouTube section of your vlogs of potential agents or newer agents who are asking for advice directly from yourself or your partners as well. So, what have you guys been focused on as far as the plan and the strategy to reach other agents to then invite them to learn a little bit more about your company and working directly with you and your team?
Well, we've been doing a lot of marketing with regards to real estate property, so it's quite similar with regards to recruitment. So it's just really a lot of content creation, like you post on social media, you post on YouTube, But this time, it's not about selling the property, but selling real estate as a career. So we post like lifestyle videos about the life that you could have, that you could enjoy if you choose to focus on being a real estate agent and really be serious about having this as a career, because it has really given me like a lot of things. Like I enjoy life right now. I have like time freedom, and when you're in real estate, your income is really dependent on how hard you work. So it could be limitless because it's sales. And there's also a lot of leverage if you decide to like build your own team later on. So the things that I like about real estate, I just create content about that. And so that's how I attract like other people who are interested in trying out real estate as a career. And also, if I have friends that I think might be interested, so I just message them directly, like, hey, you might want to try real estate as a career. Let's meet for coffee, stuff like that. So I was able to invite like a couple of agents that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a mix, right? So it kind of we talk about just within like our circles personally. There's two type of strategies to get in front of people, whether if that's working with clients or working with directly with agents inside of the industry. There's proactive, which is kind of what you talked about, messaging people directly, reaching out to them, you reaching out directly to them, and then there's reactive, which is the content portion, right? Where you post content and then people come to you. So between the two, have you seen one work better as a strategy, one maybe work more consistently as a strategy than the other, or has it been a pretty good mix as far as helping you bring on new agents to your realty?
I think it's a pretty good mix. The difference though is with content creation, it has like more long-term benefits because if you continue to post over the years, you would like get bigger and bigger following, and you would be able to attract more and more people to your team. But you just do the work like one time, or not really one time, but consistently. So with content creation, you get the leverage compared to if you reached out directly. Like if I'm busy now, I'm not able to message someone, then I won't be able to contact anyone. So it has to be always like a proactive approach. Like I have to really do it. But if I shoot a video once and then I just post it there, that video could work for me. So that's why I believe so much in content creation, because I've seen how effective it is like over the years, not just on my business but other businesses as well. Like with the content creators that I follow, I've seen how where they are now versus to where they started. So we know that it's really effective. It's just that are we willing to put in the work to actually do it?
Yeah, exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because so for myself, even like the content we created 4 years ago, so even before I started the podcast, it was from our website, from search engine optimization, is still the number one, I would say, factor when it comes to attracting agents for myself personally throughout the years. And we did this, we put out this content 4 years ago, and we spent that effort once, and it's continuing to bring us
Yes.
after month after that. So it's an upfront investment that will then pay you later on. Very similar to like building a team, right? Because it's you're not getting paid
Yes.
instantly. You're getting paid later, like delayed gratification.
Yeah, it's the long-term game. So it's just similar to working as a broker or a real estate agent. Like when you work on closing, you get paid up front. But when you work on content creation or building a team, that's a more long-term game, because you might not earn money up front for your efforts. It might take years, maybe 2 years or 3 years or more, to really be able to enjoy or reap any rewards from your efforts. But you will surely get it as long as you don't give up. So it has to be, for those agents who are thinking about building a team, it's it's worth it. It will be worth it in the end, as long as you just keep working at it.
Yeah.
But just you just need to balance it. But for you, Kobe, you mentioned that you don't really do sales, right? Like jump you just dived into building your team. Like how did that work out for you?
Yeah. So for me, it was a little bit different, right? Like you mentioned, I started out just building my team from the beginning. So I didn't have a lot to juggle in the, when I started that journey, right? In the first year, I just be very straightforward, I was trying to figure things out a lot as well. So as I was kind of exploring different options as what I can do in real estate, team building just was the most successful of all of the things I tried and I dabbled in and explored as well. So my first year, I was able to attract 6 agents. I think for you guys, within a couple months, you've already doubled that already from what I've done in my first year. So that's why I was saying you guys had definitely a lot more success than I started with. But yeah, so that's kind of what I did in the beginning, and what I struggled with was just kind of understanding the value that I could provide to agents and figuring out what that was. It took me a while, but even now I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I can provide, and I feel like I kind of honed in on that a lot more, especially working with the brokerage model that I currently work under and work with as well, that I can do. So I struggled a lot in the beginning with not necessarily reaching out to people. I reached out to quite a few agents, but it was really after they've joined, and now I've kind of felt like almost lost, right? Kind of what you were talking about earlier of what do I do now that somebody is actually wanting to work with me. And that was what I struggled with a lot in the beginning, but I was able to figure it out as we kind of continued on that journey the past couple of years.
So how many agents do you have now in your team?
Yeah, so currently we're sitting at about 70 agents across, so in the US, across 22 different states. And basically at this point, consistently adding about 2 agents a month is on the front end, is what we've been doing. And
Oh
that's what
yeah, not bad. So it did you really target like 2 agents per month, or that's just your realistic number, given that you also have to, activate the agents? Because that's what I'm currently considering, like how many agents should I target to add in a week or in a month, considering that you have to put in work to also activate them.
yes. So in the beginning, I was just trying to attract as many agents as possible. And that first year, it was the opposite, right? Instead of 2 agents a month, it was 1 agent every 2 months. So, or well, for just that first year, right? 6 agents in one year, that's 1 agent every 2 months. Oh, what happened then was the content that we created within year one in 2020. That was when it started taking off in 2021. And from that point on, it just averaged out to about 2 agents a month. And for me, especially with the model that we work with, I tend to want to work more on developing the agents than adding new agents too quickly, right? So that's kind of where I'm
Yeah.
at now. So I think 2 agents a month, it's a good number consistently, but if I work more directly with some of the agents that are already on my team, help them grow their teams out as well, then overall I would think consistently I would be adding more agents a month, but it wouldn't be all falling on my shoulders to help activate them and help get them plugged in and trained and onboarded. So what I'm doing now is trying to teach the agents that I work with what I'm doing so that they can go and duplicate and replicate that success as well, which is a whole different challenge, I think, is helping those
Yes.
become attractors and leaders of their own in their own right.
Yeah, activating agents is also like a lot of work and needs a lot of commitment from the leaders. So that's what we also did when we recruited, like when we were still new in the industry and tried to build a team. We were like just inviting everybody,
Yeah,
and we kind of got drained after that, because after you invite, you have to train them, you have to activate them, and then if you keep on inviting, it's just like you're adding more work.
yeah,
So now we are doing it more slowly but more consistently. And also, we're looking at the quality of the agents that we are inviting. So we have like a profile that we are focused on. So these are the things that we want our agents to have. So when I look at someone and I check the checklist, I was like, okay, is it a match? So if it's not a match, I don't invite anymore. But if it's a match, then I like reach out, I talk to them, and then I invite them to like the orientation or for coffee. Because it's important that I like, especially since I'm a mom, I have 2 kids, time is limited. Unlike before, unlike you, you're still single, so you have like all the time to work. But for me, I can't work in the evenings anymore. So I stop working at like around 4 p.m. So that's when my day ends because I have to get pick up Rain from school and bring her here and then bring her to like swim class and her other activities. So if I can't work after that, I have to be more now since my time is limited, I have to be more strategic now. So that's why I really am more intentional in who I invite to the team and I focus on people who are I guess more like me in terms of like where we live. We live in the uptown area because it's just easier. Like I can just pull them. Like geographically, we're closer to each other. But how about you? Like you mentioned, you have agents all over the US. Like, don't you find it hard to like mentor them or to mentor them and help them grow if you can't meet them face to face?
Yes, so that was one of the challenges in the beginning, I would say, to understand how to provide value.
Because
Luckily,
it's hard to grow your team culture if you're not together physically. Like culture is just a lot more easier to propagate and grow if you're together, like you meet face to face, even if it's just like once a week minimum.
even if it's just once, I think, even if you met somebody in person once versus not meeting them in person at all, it's a big
Yeah.
difference. The relationship dynamic that can be created there. So that's still something that I guess I'm still trying to figure out as far as creating the right culture to get everybody involved because we can promote our Zoom calls that we do every week as much as we want, but at the end of the day, Zoom meetings is
It's
not the
really
same.
different. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not the same. I think
yeah.
Zoom meetings are okay for like follow-ups, if you had like a live meeting and then you can just do it to follow up, but I don't think culture can be created like online. But how about your other team leaders at EXP? Because EXP is like a online brokerage. Like, how are they building the team, building a good culture? Are they focusing on like recruiting agents in the state where they're at? Like, for example, for me, I'm based in Cagayan de Oro, which is a city in Mindanao here in the Philippines. So I actually have agents who there are agents located in other cities who want to join the team or keep on asking me questions about real estate. So I I could recruit them, but I think it would be hard for me to manage them if they're not in the same city as me. Like for example, if we have like live trainings every Saturday, how can they join that? I mean, I think it'd be different if it would they would join through Zoom.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? Or even not you, like your the other team leaders in EXP Realty in EXP who have big teams already.
Yes. So the way that, and this is something I recently started implementing as well myself, and it's been pretty pretty good on maybe a smaller scale. I'll kind of give an example of how that worked. But pretty much what you do is you would still continue having your virtual meeting. So that's what we do. We have a weekly, we now at this point 3 times a week we have virtual Zoom meetings or online meetings.
Really? Like
Everybody
what do you discuss if you meet 3 times a week? Like is that
Yes,
all training or just like a huddle?
there will be, so it is a little bit different, right? Every meeting. So Monday mornings we have usually a training. It's kind of a larger group training for all of our agents, usually a presentation that happens, and they are hosted by different people as well. So that way they're not seeing the same person talk over and over again. So we have somebody who hosts a Monday meeting as a training on Wednesdays mornings, so about 2 days in between, we'll have more of an open networking event almost on Zoom. So it'll be kind of sharing your wins, sharing your challenges, and then also sharing any questions that you have that we can answer as a group as well. So that's the Wednesday meeting.
Oh, so it's like a team huddle, like an open session.
Yes, exactly. So it's more of an open session for everybody to get involved. And then on Fridays, it's more of a smaller group training as well. So that's the one that I host personally. And I would do a training, usually a little bit more tactical than the ones that we get on Mondays as well. So that way it's a little bit more kind of what can you do now? Here are the steps to go and implement at this moment. So that's kind of how we divide up the trainings that we do. And then so we keep our Zoom trainings, and then the way that we've seen people have build more success as far as individual culture is you would fly out or you would travel out to an agent if they're in a different market than you are and help them essentially set up their team locally. If that is something that they're trying to do locally, you go out there maybe for a couple weeks, for a month, or for a specific event that they're hosting, and then you help them set that up. Maybe you help them bring on 3 or 4 other agents so that way they know who you are. And then when you go back, now there's a pre-existing relationship. And then when they
They
bring,
have a community. So
yes,
basically, you help them set up a community of other agents. So do you do that with your team?
yes. So I went out to Las Vegas this, I think it was 2 months ago with one of my other agents. We were going together to it was a national, more or less convention where we were meeting some of his potential agents that he was bringing on. And funny enough, I met somebody who was actually living like 45 minutes away from me there that I've never met before locally as well. So, and you can see the dynamic change, right? So before we were kind of, we're friends and we were working together, but after we met in person, we met with his prospects in person. The dynamic changes a lot, and then the agents that I actually met with ended up communicating directly with myself and the agent that I came to that event with to set up follow-up meetings online afterwards as well. So this is something that you would do, and I think kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier as well, if you're setting up potential branches in other markets, you almost want to be a little bit more selective as well as who you set up
Yes.
with, because you want them to essentially be the satellite leader that can help you.
The pioneer, yeah, the leader in that area. We have like a ninong here who is like a branch manager in one of the insurance companies. So it's like the same setup. Like insurance companies have a similar, very similar setup to building a team in real estate, but I would say they're more advanced compared to the real estate market here in the Philippines because we just got professionalized in 2009, but their insurance is like companies like 100 years old already here. So that's what they do. Like that's what he does. Like he has different branches in different cities all over Mindanao. So it's not even the whole Philippines yet, but he's already like top three. So I think one thing that I learned from him is that numbers does not necessarily equals to a career success or like a successful team, because if you have so many agents that you don't end up focusing on, or that don't like sell or don't produce, then you would actually still end up losing money compared to if you only had maybe 300 agents but they're super solid compared to another insurance team who has like 2000 agents but only maybe 10% is are the real producers. So that's what I learned from him. That's why I'm now more intentional in when it comes to building the team. I'm very selective of the agents that I choose to join the team or whoever wants to join the team. Very selective because you pour your time, your effort, and your resources, all of which are limited to these people. So we want to focus on the ones who will actually produce and who actually wants to grow. So I think in terms of like the insurance business, his team is small. He said he only has like 300 plus agents, but last year he was like the number one branch director of that insurance company here in the Philippines. So there are different insurance companies. So he's with AXA. So he was the number one, and he's very consistent because he's always in the top three. So that's also one thing that he taught me, like consistency is very important. Even if you don't onboard like 10 agents a week, even if you just talk to like, his goal is just 2 people a day, like not to recruit 2 people a day, but to just reach out to 2 people a day. And even if just one or two or something, one a week will join him, like he's good with that. Because what's important to him is he's able to be consistent because he wants to win like long term. So even if he doesn't have like super high number of recruits or high sales volume for the entire team, like all the time, because he is so consistent in his activities, he usually is always like one of the top three branch managers. Because in insurance, there's like levels, right? There's like a sales agent, a unit manager, and then a branch director, which is like I guess the highest there in terms of the tiers. So he's always like one of the top three. Either he's number one or he's number two or is it number three. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting the way that kind of you just described that as well, because as a team leader we focus a lot on like numbers sometimes, but I
Mhm.
don't think that's the right thing to focus on, right? You should be focusing on the quality of agents you're bringing in
Yes.
and
I
who
think
is it.
numbers are is also important, but you also have to focus on the quality, like both of them, like not numbers at the expense of quality. Because if the numbers, like you have like 100 agents but only 20 are producing, so meaning the quality of the agents that you're recruiting are not, it's not that good. So you need to like focus more on what's the profile of these top 20 agents and recruit more of these people, type of people. And that's what he does also. He visits the different cities where he has teams in. So he drives there because it's Mindanao is like one big island, so you can just drive, don't have to fly out, although you can also fly. So he just drives there maybe, I don't know, a couple of times every month or every 2 months. It depends on how new the team is. So if the team is new, he travels more frequently until it's set up. And then if it's set up, then he just visits maybe once a quarter or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a good strategy to set up, I guess, like branches of your team as well in different locations and maybe different specialties as well. And something I really kind of wanted to get, I asked this question almost like every team leader, every brokerage owner out there, which is kind of the challenge of maybe now transitioning from the individual where you're 100% responsible and accountable for your own actions to now hoping or coaching somebody else and other people to take accountability and take responsibility for their actions as well. Because your income is essentially now as a team leader is a direct reflectant of the quality of agents and the actions that they're taking on a day-to-day basis. Have you seen that kind of be an additional challenge that you have to take on? I know that you guys have led teams of assistants and employees in the past, so I'm sure that was probably a skill set you already developed. It was just something you had to kind of tailor towards working with now independent contractors, right? Who are, maybe it's kind of up to them whether they want to listen to
Mhm.
your advice or not.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's very different handling agents versus handling employees, because employees like have no choice but to listen to you and to do what you want, like in a way, because you're paying them a salary. So if you want them to do something, then you have a timeline and they have to like deliver it. But with agents, you can't like you can't force them to do things that they don't want to do, right? So I guess it's a higher form of leadership, leading agents versus employees, because you have to use now influence. What is the level of your influence towards your agents? How can you make them follow you? So in order to influence them, you have to build a relationship with them. And that takes time. So that's why I'm recruiting more slowly compared to how we did it like a couple of years ago when we first starting out, because I need to spend time with my team and with my agents in building the relationship, because that's how I can influence them to do what they need to do to be successful in their real estate career.
Yeah, it's like a volunteer army, right? That's what I read online before because everybody's coming
Yeah.
in, but it's going to be completely up to them whether or not they want to perform and
Yes.
take the actions to do so.
Yes, correct. So it's up to them whether they will actually do the work or not. But you're already pouring time and resources. So it's up to you as the team leader to really influence them to execute.
Yeah, and I think getting down to the motivation, right, of why somebody would want to take and get involved in real estate in the first place is very important. What is their goal? What are they trying to accomplish? And I think understanding that from a basic level will help as far as the influence part and also the motivation part to help somebody take action on their own. Because at the end of the day, with individual agents, I think it's important that they own their actions and they own their goals as well. Because you can tell them what to do, but it's more, I think it makes a bigger impact if they were the ones who really took accountability for the playbook or the daily actions or the time blocks that they've set for themselves, or you've kind of worked together to help them set. Really taking ownership essentially in their career and their business is, I think, the most important part of that.
Yes, and it's also a transition that they need to do on their own, at their own timeline. Because when you're a new agent, you don't really feel like you have ownership at first until you actually start doing more real estate activities, until you start closing deals, until you have actual clients to take care of. So it's also a process that every new agent goes through.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I kind of want to wrap up today just by talking a little bit more about kind of what you're working on at the moment, other than your content, your sales business, and also the team building side of things as well. So before the podcast, before we hopped on, you were talking a little about a book that you're actually working on as well. I'd love for you to share a little bit about kind of what you foresee and envision the book acting as a tool for your business and why you're taking the time and effort to actually develop and write this book yourself. So that way it becomes an asset for you and your business, and why other agents should consider a strategy very similar to this as well.
Yeah, so since I've been creating content since 2020, I've been getting a lot of questions from clients and agents, like the viewers that I have on my channel. I get like a lot of DMs or messages on WhatsApp, email about the different questions that I have about real estate. So I thought, why not write a real estate book where everything is there? Because the questions that most of my viewers ask are like repetitive, and they're usually like the usual questions that I get. So like frequently asked questions. So I was thinking, okay, since I already have all this content, I just want to compile it, make it more comprehensive, and add to it so that if you are thinking of buying a property in the Philippines and you don't know where to start, you can just read this book so that you will be guided on like the step by step process. So it's basically for clients, for buyers, how they can buy property in the Philippines. And there's also a bit about sellers there, how to sell property and the steps to that, because it's very challenging for especially those who are not based here in the Philippines to buy property because they're not here. So they don't know what to do, and it can be a bit overwhelming, especially for foreign clients, for OFWs, and even for local buyers. Like I have a lot of local clients. They're like, I want to buy this property. Like, what's the first step? So since we do this every day, we already like know the process well. But for those who are not actually in the industry, it can be like a big blur, like I don't know where to start. So my goal for this book is just to really help buyers and sellers and even agents who are beginning. Like if you're a new agent and you're not yet familiar with the process, you can read this book and then you will at least know how to start and also how to help your client. So it contains like the step-by-step process on how to buy property in the Philippines, like what should you look out for, what are the things you should ask, including what's the difference between pre-selling, resale property, common real estate terms, bank financing in the Philippines. So that's one of the most common questions that I get. What is the process to apply for a home loan? How can I be approved? What are the requirements? So stuff like that will all be in the book. And also like the laws here in the Philippines that are relevant, especially for residential property owners.
Yeah, it sounds like a very extensive book, right? Like we were talking about
Thank
before
you.
the show. You've created so much content. It's just compiling it in book form now because you have so much knowledge
Yes.
on the industry in the Philippines, so that you can actually put it into a book, consolidate it, so that way people who are interested in learning more about the real estate industry, if they're an agent starting out that want to get familiar with the laws and the rules and the industry intricacies, this is going to be a great resource for them, and also potential buyers and sellers as well, to understand the process more and to really have a good understanding of how the transaction process works and also the industry as a whole. So I think for a lot of people, right, getting to that point, if you're a content creator, if you're an influencer in the industry, if you are successful in any way, you get to a certain point where you just almost have to write a book. I've seen this pretty much across the board. So it's funny.
You have to write a book. And also when I was doing my research, I realized there's no such book yet here in the Philippines, like about real estate in this context. Like the actual practice of buying property, there's no book about that. So hopefully it will have a market since I don't have any competition yet.
Yeah, and that's what I think that's really unique because you guys have done a lot of things where you're first to market. Essentially, you're looking at things differently than other agents and brokers in the industry. And the fact that there is no book at all like this in the industry, I think there will be a market for it, right? If you're getting a lot of questions about it, that means people are asking for it. So I think it's going to be a pretty good resource for anybody looking for more information on that as well. So for our viewers and our listeners out there, so how can they sign up if they wanted to have a copy of this book when it does come out, when you guys are finished packaging it and writing it? Because you guys are taking, I'm guessing, pre-registration, right, for anyone who's interested at the moment.
Yeah, so for now, I have a Google form that you can just click and then write your name, your email address, and like contact info there so that once the book is out, I can update you. Because we're
Yeah,
still working on the landing page. So it's Google Forms for now.
yeah, awesome. We'll make sure to leave the link to that in the description down below. Whether if it's when you have the landing page ready or if it's the Google form, we'll make
Yeah,
sure to leave.
I'll send you the Google form.
Okay. Awesome. So we'll make sure to leave the link in the description below. And yeah, so I mean, Alex, want to thank you for joining us today. You shared a lot of value for us and for our audience, I think, to understand the process of going from individual to becoming a team leader and what that process looks like and kind of some of the new challenges and the new skill sets you have to develop. So for our viewers and listeners out there that want to maybe learn a little bit more about what you're doing, maybe want to be a part of your team as well in the Philippines if they're looking to start up their career in real estate. What are some of the best places for them to find you? Make sure to plug your YouTube channel as well, which is now growing. I think very exponentially at this point, very close to 20,000 subscribers. Uh, Almost.
Yeah, hopefully I can hit 20,000 this year.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what are some of
so yeah, they can reach me through my YouTube channel. So it's Alex Zeta. And I also have my contact info there in the description. So my WhatsApp is there and my email. So if you just type in my name, Alex Zeta, so my contact info will pop up. So I'm also on Google. So my contact info is also there because my clients leave me Google reviews, so you can check that out as well.
Awesome. Yeah, we will make sure to leave the links to your channel in the description down below as well. And it's awesome that you guys are taking advantage of Google reviews. It's not something that even all the agents here in the
I
US are
I
doing.
know, I know. Or like actually, I've been wanting to like have this like review structure for my clients, and before I was asking them to review my Facebook, but I don't know. My husband was the one who suggested because I was listening to this podcast, and then the 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 podcaster I was listening to was like, you need to have like a review system because that will give you credibility. And you have when you have tons of clients, it's not really hard to ask for a review, right? Especially if they're happy with your work. It was like, oh, I should do this. So I was like, my husband, who's the tech guy, he's like, oh, you should do Google reviews instead of like Facebook or website because Google is like the biggest search engine, so it would make the most sense. So he was the one who set up my Google reviews, and then every time I close a deal, so it's just part of the habit that I've built up. Now, every time I close a deal, I send that form to my clients with like a message asking them to leave a review for me, and not just the clients, but to other agents that I've worked with as well. Because usually, it's very real estate is very collaborative. So when I work with another agent, we close a deal together. I also ask them to leave me a review. So I think so far I don't know around 19 reviews on Google because not all the clients that I send the link to will leave a review, right? So it depends if they want to make the effort. So I just send them the link and it's up to them. I just ask them to do it and some of them they do it and some they don't. So if they don't, then that's fine with me. I don't really bother them anymore after that. But yeah, I've been getting inquiries as well. Like people contact me because I'm able to see online on my website and on my other platforms where the lead came from, and I've been able to get leads through Google review, so it's very effective. I can't believe like not all the agents are doing that, especially there in the US, like you're more advanced.
Yeah, yeah. So not everybody's doing Google reviews. The ones who do are very successful, uh, experiencing similar results that I'm sure you guys are as well, because it's very direct, right? For search engines, for somebody looking for
Yes.
services of an agent, they're looking for that and they're looking at the reviews immediately. So shout out to your husband, John. because he has the right idea. Google reviews is going to be
Yeah.
the best bang for your buck for sure.
Yes, and it's like very worth it for the effort that you put in. Like you just do it one time and then you just ask your client one time and then it will just build up from there. I guess it's kind of like content creation. Just have to ask your clients to do it.
Yep, exactly. So congrats on that. And yeah, Alex, just want to thank you again for joining us today. You were very valuable with your information and very authentic as well, sharing some of the things that you guys are doing. It's working for you guys in your business. For our listeners, before we let you hop off here, is there any last piece of advice, any last tips, or just anything you want to leave with the audience before we wrap up today's episode?
So earlier this morning after my workout, I was listening to Alex Hormozzi's podcast, and one thing that he said really resonated with me. It's one thing that I already believed in, but it was more of like uh, more an affirmation that you have to focus on one thing if you want to be successful at that one thing, because it's hard to do like multiple things because you have to keep on switching back and forth, right? So if there's one thing that you want to succeed in, you have to focus only on that for like 10 years, like at the cost of saying no to other opportunities. Because there are so many opportunities right now in the world today, especially with the internet, now with AI. There's so many things that we can do. So it's pretty easy to like jump from one thing to another, right? Like do this thing for 6 months and then, oh, my friend is doing well at this, her work. I'm gonna try that, and then do that for another 6 months, and then you fell out of love because there you realize that there's a lot of work that you need to do and a lot of problems, and then you try another thing, and then before you know it, it's been 20 years and you've been jumping around. So if you just stuck at one thing, you would have been able to build a successful business or a successful career just by staying consistent. So I think really focus and consistency is very critical to achieving the success that you want, and to just be consistent even if you don't feel like doing it, because like as a content creator or as a leader yourself, I'm sure you feel like there are down days you don't feel like creating content, you don't feel like leading your team or meeting them, but when you push past that, that's when it counts, because that's when you're able to stay consistent even if you don't feel like doing it. Just like working out, like I don't feel like working out today. I slept late last night, but I still showed up at like my 6 a.m. CrossFit class because it's part of my schedule and I need to be consistent. So yeah, so that's it. Focus and consistency. Like with
Yep.
anything, not just real estate.
Yes, exactly. That's some it's very great advice. It's very, very simple to grasp on, but it's very important. And sometimes I think the best advice are the ones that is foundational in concept as well. So thank you so much for sharing that, Alex. Appreciate you being on the show today. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you in the next show. Take care.
Thank you, Kobe. Have a good day. Bye bye.